Poor Dear Mama by Rudyard Kipling. The wild hawk to the windswept, sky the deer to the wholesome wold, and the heart of a man to the heart of a maid, as it was in the days of old. Gypsy Song. Scene interior of Miss Minnie Thregan's bedroom at Simla. Miss Thregan in windows at, turning over a drawerful of things, Miss Emma Dearcourt bosom friend, who has come to spend the day sitting on the bed, manipulating the bodice of a ballroom frock, and a bunch of artificial lilies of the valley. Time 530 p. Roman 1000, on a hot May afternoon. Miss Dearcourt and he said, I shall never forget this dance. And of course I said, oh, how can you be so silly? Do you think he meant anything, dear? Miss Thregan extracting long lavender silk, stalking from the rubbish. You know him better than I do. Miss Roman 500, oh, do be sympathetic, Minnie. I am sure he does, at least I would be sure, if he wasn't always riding with that odious Mrs. Hagan. Miss T, I suppose so. How does one manage to dance through one's heels? First look at this, isn't it shameful? Spreads stocking heel on open hand for inspection. Miss Roman 500, never mind that you can't mend it, help me with this hateful bodice. I've run the string so, and I've run the string so, and I can't make the fullness come right. Where would you put this, waves, lilies of the valley? Miss T, as high up on the shoulder as possible. Miss Roman 500 am, I quite tall enough, I know, it makes May older look lopsided. Miss T, yes, but May hasn't your shoulders, hers are like a hock bottle. Bearer rapping at door, Captain Sahib Aya. Miss Roman 500, jumping up wildly and hunting for bodice, which she has discarded owing to the heat of the day. Captain Sahib, what Captain Sahib? Oh good gracious, and I am only half dressed. Well, I shan't bother. Miss T calmly, you needn't, it isn't for us, that's Captain Gadsby. He is going for a ride with Mama. He generally comes 5 days out of the 7. Agonized voice, prom and inner apartment. Minnie, run out and give Captain Gadsby some tea, and tell him, I shall be ready in 10 minutes. And oh Minnie, come to me an instant, there's a dear girl. Miss T, oh bother, aloud, very well Mama. Exit and reappears after 5 minutes flushed and rubbing her fingers. Miss Roman 500, you look pink, what has happened? Miss T in a stage whisper, a 24-inch waist, and she won't let it out. Where are my bangles? Rummages on the toiletable, and dabs at her hair with a brush in the interval. Miss Roman 500, who is this Captain Gadsby? I don't think I've met him. Miss T, you must have, he belongs to the Harar set, I've danced with him, but I've never talked to him. He's a big yellow man, just like a newly hatched chicken with an enormous mustache. He walks like this, imitates cavalry swagger. And he goes hum deep down in his throat, when he can't think of anything to say. Mama likes him, I don't. Miss Roman 500, abstractedly, does he wax that mustache? Miss T busy with powder puff, yes, I think so, why? Miss Roman 500, bending over the bodice, and sewing furiously, oh nothinganly. Miss T sternly, only what, out with it, Emma. Miss Roman 500, well, May Aldrich's engaged to Mr. Charteris, you know, said promise you won't repeat this. Miss T, yes I promise, what did she say? Miss Roman 500, that, being kissed with a rush with a man who didn't wax his mustache was like eating an egg without salt. Miss T at her full height with crushing scorn, May Alger is a horrid nasty thing, and you can tell her I said so. I am glad, she doesn't belong to my seti, must go and feed this man. Do I look presentable? Miss Roman 500, yes, perfectly, be quick, and hand him over to your mother, and then we can talk. I shall listen at the door to hear what you say to him. Miss T, sure, I don't care, I am not afraid of Captain Gadsby. In proof of this, swings into the drawing-room with a mannish stride followed by 2 short steps, which produces the effect of a restive horse, entering Mrs. Captain Gadsby, who is sitting in the shadow of the window curtain, and gazes round helplessly. Captain Gadsby, aside, the filly, by Jove, must ha picked up that action from the sire, aloud, rising, good evening, Miss Thregan. Miss T, conscious that she is flushing, good evening, Captain Gadsby. Mama told me to say that she will be ready in a few minutes. Want you have some tea? Aside, I hope Mama will be quick. What am I to say to the creature? Aloud, and abruptly, milk and sugar. Cap G, no sugar thonks, and very little milk, Hotham. Miss T, aside, if he's going to do that I am lost, I shall laugh, I know I shall. Cap G, pulling at his mustache, and watching it sideways down his nose, Hotham aside, wonder what the little beast can talk about. Must make a shot at it. Miss T aside, oh this is agonizing, I must say something. Both together, have you been? Cap G, I beg your pardon, you were going to say. Miss T, who has been watching the mustache with odd fascination, want you have some eggs. Cap G looking bewilderedly at the teatable eggs, aside oh Hades. She must have a nurseridea at this hour s'pose. They've wiped her mouth and sent her to me, while the mother is getting on her duds, aloud no thanks. Miss T crimson with confusion, oh I didn't mean that I wasn't thinking of Mao eggs for an instant, I mean, salt want you have some sassweets aside hell. Think me a raving lunatic, I wish mama would come. Cap G aside it was a nurseridea, and she's ashamed of it by Jove. She doesn't look half bad when she colors up like that aloud, helping himself from the dish. Have you seen those new chocolates at Pilatus? Miss T no, I made these myself, what are they like? Cap G these delicious aside, and that's a fact. Miss T aside, oh bother hell think I'm fishing for compliments. Aloud no Pilatus of course. Cap G enthusiastically, not to compare with these how do you make them. I can't get my consummate to understand the simplest thing beyond mutton and fowl. Miss T yes I am, not a consummate you know perhaps you frighten him, you should never frighten a servant, he loses his head it's very bad policy. Cap G he's so awfully stupid. Miss T folding her hands in her lap you should call him quietly, and say oh consummate G. Cap G getting interested yes aside fancy, that little featherweight saying oh consummate G, to my bloodthirsty mere con. Miss T then you should explain the dinner dish by dish. Cap G but I can't speak the vernacular. Miss T patronizingly, you should pass the higher standard and try. Cap G I have but I don't seem to be any the wiser are you. Miss T I never passed the higher standard, but the consummate is very patient with me, he doesn't get angry when I talk about sheep's topies or order mons of grain when I mean sears. Cap G aside with intense indignation id, like to see Mir Khan being rude to that girl hullo steady the buffs aloud, and do you understand about horses too? Miss T a little not very much I can't doctor them, but I know what they ought to eat, and I am in charge of our stable. Cap G indeed you might help me then, what ought a man to give his size in the hills, my ruffian says 8 rupees, because everything is so dear. Miss T 6 rupees a month, and 1 rupee simla allowance neither more nor less, and a grass cut gets 6 rupees, that's better than buying grass in the bazaar. Cap G admiringly how do you know? Miss T I have tried both ways. Cap G do you ride much then I've never seen you on the mall. Miss T aside, I haven't passed him more than 50 times aloud, nearly every day. Cap G by Jove, I didn't know that Hammam pulls at his mustache, and is silent for 40 seconds. Miss T desperately, and wondering what will happen next, it looks beautiful, I shouldn't touch it, if I were you aside it's all mama's fault for not coming before I will be rude. Cap G bronzing under the tan, and bringing down his hand, very quickly a what oh yes, ha ha laughs, uneasily aside well of all the dashed cheek, I never had a woman say that to me, yet she must be a cool hand or elsa that nurseridea. Voice prom the unknown tchk tchk tchk. Cap G good gracious what's that? Miss T the dog I think aside Emma has been listening, and I'll never forgive her. Cap G aside they don't keep dogs here aloud, didn't sound like a dog did it. Miss T then it must have been the cat, let's go into the veranda, what a lovely evening it is. Steps into veranda, and looks out across the hills, into sunset the captain follows. Cap G aside superb eyes, I wonder that I never noticed them before. Aloud there's going to be a dance at Viceregal Lodge on Wednesday, can you spare me one? Miss T shortly no, I don't want any of your charitadances, you only ask me because mama told you to I hop, and I bump you know I do. Cap G aside that's true, but little girls shouldn't understand these things aloud no on my word, I don't you dance beautifully. Miss T then why do you always stand out, after half a dozen turns, I thought officers in the army didn't tell fibs. Cap G it wasn't a fib believe me, I really do want the pleasure of a dance with you. Miss T wickedly, why won't mama dance with you any more? Cap G more earnestly, than the necessity demands, I wasn't thinking of your mother aside you little vixen. Miss T still looking out of the window, oh I beg your pardon, I was thinking of something else. Cap G aside well, I wonder what she'll say next I've never known a woman treat me like this before I might bedash it, I might be an infantry subaltern. Aloud, oh please don't trouble I am not worth thinking about isn't your mother ready yet? Miss T I should think so, but promise me Captain Gamsby, you won't take poor dear mama twice round Jacko, Any more it tires her so. Cap G, she says that no exercise tires her. Miss T, yes, but she suffers afterward. You don't know what rheumatism is, and you ought to keep her out so late when it gets chill in the evenings. Cap G, aside rheumatism. I thought she came off her horse, rather in a bunch. Hugh one lives, and learns, aloud. I am sorry to hear that she hasn't mentioned it to me. Miss T flurried, of course, not poor dear mamma, never would, and you mustn't say that I told you either. Promise me that you want, oh Captain Gamsby, promise me you want. Cap G, I am dumb or I shall be as soon as you've given me that dance, and another if you can trouble yourself to think about me for a minute. Miss T, but you want like it one little bit, y'all, be awfully sorry afterward. Cap G, I shall like it above all things, and I shall only be sorry that I didn't get more aside. Now, what in the world am I saying? Miss T, very well, you will have only yourself to thank, if your toes are trodden on, shall we say 7. Cap G, and 11 aside, she can't be more than 8 stone, but even then, it's an absurdly small foot. Looks at his own riding boots. Miss T, they're a beautifully shiny, I can almost see my face in them. Cap G, I was thinking whether I should have to go on crutches for the rest of my life, if you trod on my toes. Miss T, very likely. Why not change 11 for a square? Cap G, no please, I want them. Both waltzes, want you write them down. Miss T, I don't get so many dances, that I shall confuse them, you will be the offender. Cap G, wait, and see aside, she doesn't dance perfectly perhaps, but. Miss T, your tea must have got cold by this time, want you have another cup? Cap G, no thanks, don't you think it's pleasanter out in the veranda? Aside, I never saw hair take that color in the sunshine before. Aloud, it's like one of Dixie's pictures. Miss T, yes, it's a wonderful sunset, isn't it? Bluntly, but what do you know about Dixie's pictures? Cap G, I go home occasionally, and I used to know the galleries. Nervously, you mustn't think me only a Philistine with a mustache. Miss T, don't please, don't. I am so sorry for what I said then, I was horribly rude. It slipped out before Jay thought. Don't you know the temptation to say frightful and shocking things? Just for the mere sake of saying them, I am afraid I gave way to it. Cap G, watching the girl as she flushes, I think I know the feeling. It would be terrible if we all yielded to it, wouldn't it? For instance, I might say. Poor dear mamma, entering habited, hatted, and booted. Ah, Captain Gamsby, sorry to keep you waiting. Hope you haven't been bored. My little girl been talking to you. Miss T, aside, I am not sorry. I spoke about the rheumatism. I am not. I only wished I'd mentioned the corns too. Cap G, aside, what a shame. I wonder how old she is. It never occurred to me before. Aloud, we've been discussing Shakespeare and the musical glasses in the veranda. Miss T, aside, nice man, he knows that quotation. He isn't a Philistine with a mustache. Aloud, goodbye Captain Gadsby. Aside, what a huge hand, and what a squeeze. I don't suppose he meant it, but he has driven the rings into my fingers. Poor dear mamma has vermilion come round. Yet oh yes, Captain Gadsby, don't you think that the saddle is too far forward? They pass into the front veranda. Cap G, aside, how the dickens should I know what she prefers? She told me that she doted on horses. Aloud, I think it is. Miss T, coming out into front veranda. Oh bad Boldu, I must speak to him for this. He has taken up the curb 2 links, and vermilion baits that passes out, and a horse's head. Cap G, let me do it. Miss T, no, vermilion understands me, don't you? Old man loosens curb chain skillfully, and pats horse on nose, and throttle poor vermilion. Did they want to cut his chin off there? Captain Gadsby watches the interlude with undisguised admiration. Poor dear mamma, tartly, to Miss T, you've forgotten your guest, I think, dear. Miss T, good gracious, so I have goodbye, retreats indoors hastily. Poor dear mamma, bunching reins in fingers hampered by 2 tight gauntlets. Captain Gadsby. Captain Gadsby stoops and makes the footrest. Poor dear mamma blunders, halts too long, and breaks through it. Cap G, aside, can't hold up 7 stone forever. It's all your rheumatism. Aloud, can't imagine why I was so clumsy. Aside, now little featherweight would have gone up like a bird. They ride out of the garden. The captain falls back. Cap G, aside, how that habit catches her under the arms. Poor dear mamma, with the worn smile of 16 seasons. The worse for exchange. You're dull this afternoon, Captain Gadsby. Cap G, spurring up wearily, why did you keep me waiting so long? Etc., etc., etc.